All right, y'all, you've made it to the back of the worksheet. We're doing problem 6 through 10. This is using dimensional analysis to do unit conversions. I've just gone ahead and written the basics of like what was given and what unit I'm trying to get to, and then all the unit conversion factors that I'm gonna need. So number 6 is 12.2 psi, and I'm getting that to kilopascals. Okay, so you're gonna start with your given 12.2 psi. You don't have a unit on the bottom for this one. You can put a 1 there if you want to just hold that place, or you can just leave it alone. I know that PSI needs to go on the bottom because I'm trying to cancel that out. And I have a conversion factor that gets me to pascals, so I'm gonna write that one on the top. Make sure that you do these units first if you're unsure about how to do these, because you know that you gotta cancel these out. You can put this here, and then you automatically know what numbers to fill in because they go with those units, so you don't get tripped up trying to do too much at once. So 1 goes with PSI, and then I'm gonna write this number for pascals. Okay, if I was going to pascals, I could stop there, but this is asking for kilopascals. So I need one more conversion, meaning I need to cancel out pascals. So I'm gonna put that at the bottom, and I'm trying to get to kilopascals. So that goes on the top. 1 kilo anything is 1,000 of the regular ones, because kilo is times 10 to the third. So that's 3 zeros are there for. Okay, so now I have PSI cancels out, PA cancels out, and I have KPA, which was what I was trying to find, so I'm gonna put it in the calculator. Multiply all your numbers that are across the top and divide by any that you have on the bottom. If you have 1 on the top or bottom, you can ignore it when you're putting it in the calculator because it's not gonna mathematically change anything. So I'm gonna put 12.2 times 6894.757 divided by, because that's on the bottom, 1,000. Okay, this is my answer over here, 84.1160354. I'm not gonna write that whole thing. I'm gonna use the correct amount of sig figs, and since I started with 3, I'm gonna end with 3, so 84.1 kilopascals. And that's it for number 6. Okay, for number 7, 88 feet per second, and I'm trying to go to miles per hour. I have these 2 conversions. I have a miles per hour to meters per second, and I have a feet to meters. I don't have a miles per hour to feet per second easy conversion for that. So this is gonna take a little bit extra. I start with my given. I'm gonna write it like this. You could keep feet per second on the top. It truly doesn't matter. This is just what I wrote. And I'm gonna convert to meters first. So then I would have meters per second that I can convert to miles per hour using this one. Okay, so the feet I need to cancel out. I'm gonna leave the seconds, and I wanna get it to meters, and I'm gonna use this one. Okay, the reason for me doing this is I started with feet per second, so I have to start with that, but I don't want it in feet per second. I need meters per second, because I can go from meters per second to miles per hour, and that is the unit that I'm trying to end with. So I'm canceling out the feet, getting to meters. So now I would have meters per second at the end of this. Okay, it's okay that they're on 2 different things. That's how the units would work out. So 0.3048 meters is equivalent to 1 foot. And now I'm going to use my miles per hour conversion. Yeah, that's right. Meters per second and then miles per hour. Okay, these meters cancel out, and then this seconds is on the bottom of the bottom, so that cancels as well, and I would be left with just miles per hour. So 1 and 0.44704. Okay, so the units for this are a little bit tricky. Just make sure that you're keeping track of like what's on the top and what's on the bottom. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it in the calculator. 88 times 0.3048 and divided by 0.44704. It doesn't matter what order you put these in the calculator, as long as you make sure that you're not forgetting any numbers. So I know some people like to go all the way across the top and then divide all the ones on the bottom, or some people like to go just fraction by fraction. Whatever you prefer is fine. Okay, here's the tricky part. 60 is my answer. My answer is supposed to have 2 sig figs because I started with 2. So we can either, and I feel like this is kind of cheating the system, but we could do 60 point and then put your unit. Okay, if you don't like doing that, which I typically don't, you can write it in scientific notation instead. So we would do 6.0 times 10 to the first miles per hour. Okay, because that 6.0 has 2 sig figs, and if I did that times 10, it would be 60. All right, next one. I didn't write a conversion for this one because I'm assuming that we all know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, but just in case, we'll write it. So I'm gonna start with my given, 22.2 inches squared. Again, you can put 1 on the bottom there, you can leave it alone. I know that this is the unit that I need to cancel out, and I know that I need to go to feet squared. Okay, now I don't have a conversion that goes from inches squared to feet squared, so I'm using this one, but just remember that before you plug in anything, you're really squaring this entire thing on both sides. When you do that, you need to square the number and you square the unit. So the unit's already taken care of. I already wrote inches squared, but I don't want to write 12 here. I need to write what 12 squared is, which is 144. And same thing for this one. Square the 1, which is still 1, and then we already have the feet squared here. Okay, so that's the only difference when you have square units or cube units. You can use your simple conversion, but you need to make sure that you cube or square or whatever your numbers as well as your units. Now, when you're putting it in the calculator, don't square this number. Don't square this number. Okay, that's already taken into account. You're just doing the numbers as you have them shown. So 22.2 divided by 144. I need 1, 2, 3 sig figs, so 0.154. And my unit is feet squared. All right, next one. Oh, I didn't leave enough space for this one. Shucks. Okay, 325 milligrams is what I start with. I know I need to cancel out milligrams, but let's see where we can go from there. Okay, I'm trying to get to grains, but I don't have a milligrams to grains conversion. I have grams to grains. Okay, which tells me that I need to go to grams first. Milligrams, milli, is 1,000 milligrams for 1 gram. Now I have grams. I can cancel that out and go to grains. Okay, cancel out the milligrams, cancel out grams. Now we have grains. The numbers for these are going to come from this conversion factor. So 1 gram equals 15.432 grains. Okay, and then I'm just going to put it in the calculator. 325 divided by 1,000 times 15.432. Okay, here's what I got. I need 1, 2, 3 sig figs, so 1, 2, 3. I need to keep the 1, but that 5 behind it is telling me to round it up. So I'm gonna say 5.02. And that unit is grains. All right, next one. Start off with your given, 122 kilometers squared. I know that kilometer squared has to go here because I got to get rid of that. Let's see what can go on the top. I'm trying to get to miles squared, and I have a kilometers to miles conversion factor here, so I know I can do that with no problem. Okay, here's the issue. Remember, just like in number 8, this is miles to kilometers, okay, or kilometers to miles, but it's not squared. So I need to square the numbers before I put them in. So 1 squared would still be 1, but I need to take this number and square it. So 0.62133712 squared. Okay, and I'm gonna write that in here. I'm gonna write as many decimal places as I can fit. If you wanna like store that number or just use that number and then multiply by 122, you can do that, which is what I'm gonna end up doing. So I can keep as many digits as possible. Okay, because that would be the end of our thing. So I would take this number, which is already in my calculator, and multiply by 122. So I'm just gonna hit times 122. And I need 1, 2, 3 sig figs, so 47.1. And that is square miles, 47.1 square miles.